Hey, Troy. Listen,
Hello,
mate.
Greg.
Great. Well, I've been reading the newspaper again, like I do every morning. Every morning I read. The reason I read the newspaper is because when you watch social media, you have people have a license to say things, and sometimes they're absolutely not true. At least the paper has filters.
The paper's always true, is it, Greg?
No, well, maybe not always true, but it's got editors who make sure that whatever information's coming through is as close to the truth as possible.
Fact check, shall we say?
Yeah, a bit of a fact check where people have license to stand up.
And those people, those editors don't have agendas, do they?
They probably do, but that's okay. It's getting to the honesty side. But you know what? My favourite subject at the moment is Trump, because I always like to talk about Trump. Everybody likes to talk about Trump.
We love Trump, don't we?
Well, yeah, a couple of things I want to talk about Trump. There's 2 or 3 things that I want to grab onto. I want to talk about his trip to China. I want to talk about the threats he makes every day about the war. You must open the Strait of Hormuz. What's going to happen? And the big question I'm going to ask is, look, if they open the strait, would that finish the war? Would that be all over? What do you think?
I just think it's a bunch of noise, mate, honestly. Like, so we talk about this a lot. And I'm not saying I'm a Trump lover. You think I love Trump?
I think you do.
I don't love Trump.
Oh, I don't know.
I think I think all politicians are shit. I think all not all, okay. I think the majority of politicians are there for their own agendas, and I think Trump is no different. As cackling Kamala, if she had got in, would have been no different. They all have their own agendas. They're all got their own alignments and things like that. But at the end of the day, right, I think this is just purely what Trump has done is just purely to say, hey, everyone, look over here instead of looking over here. Now, you could argue, is that to do with the Epstein rubbish and the rest of that stuff? Who knows, right? But at the end of the day, a diversion, I think, is what we are witnessing here. Now, I think we both know that it doesn't matter what goes on over there. He is the master of diversions.
He is the master. But tell me, what about, okay, will he go and blow everybody up? Will he go and blow Iran up?
Look, I think it's just open. It's just him talking, right? He does a lot of talking. And there's a lot of talking happening with Trump, but a lot of it that he says has been proven is just absolute hot air. Now, he's known for the art of the deal stuff and things like that. Now, is he? What do you think? Do you think he's someone that is a good deal closer, or do you think he's just full of it?
He's only a good deal maker if he carries all the aces and the jokers. And the reality is, that's not reality. That's not really a deal maker. That's a bully. So he's a wonderful, wonderful bully. He just went to China recently, but he wasn't such a bully in front of the Chinese leader. In fact, he went to water. He went to water because they brought up, Taiwan, and because the Chinese leader said, "Oh, we don't want you involved in Taiwan, and if we have to have a conflict with them going forward." And of course, everybody knows America stood behind Taiwan for the last, 10, 20, 30 years. I don't know. They have strong alliances. They've always said that they would protect Taiwan. All of a sudden, the leader of the free world goes, "Well, I don't know." What do you mean I don't know? He should have been straight up and said, "Look, we stand behind Taiwan." Next question.
Well, I'm going to interject here for a second, because in the next 2 to 3 minutes, I'm going to go over why I think this whole leader of the free world nonsense is old news. So why I think the whole leader of the free world nonsense is old news is because what's happened is that everyone's blended, the internet has blended everyone as one, right? So this whole leader of the free world, and I'm the leader of the West, and there's the East, and there's everything else. In my opinion, it's all been blended into one big pile, right? And the fact is that America come across that, well, they'll beat their chest and they'll say, hey, we're the world police. What we do is right. We're doing this for the right reasons. But it's been proven over and over again. And people say this. Now, this is where I challenge people about Trump. I'm not a Trump lover, but what I will say is this. Everyone gives Obama like so much love, and they think he's the best person ever in the history of presidents. The facts are that guy was responsible for the most amount of bombs that have ever been dropped in the history of the United States was under Obama's presidency. But yet he was the one that won the Nobel Peace Prize. How do you work that out?
I don't know how to work that one out, but right. I hear what you say.
So when I say the leader of the free world nonsense, it's the biggest load of bullshit, in my opinion, ever, because those guys over in America, right, And love to the Americans listening, but honestly, like they're dropping more bombs than China and Russia and everyone else combined. So I think that's a load of nonsense, that stuff.
Now, look, you're an expert in the crypto education field, and tell me, of course, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, it walks to its own beat. I understand that, but I would have thought, given all this going on, in the Middle East and all these challenges, that this currency would have stood up and went strong at this point. Why hasn't it sort of boomed right now?
Well, I think that as you just said, Bitcoin beats to its own drum. So Bitcoin will do its own thing, and it goes through cycles. And in my opinion, where we are right now, it wouldn't matter whether there was 1,000 bombs being dropped in the Middle East or there was no bombs and there was world peace. Bitcoin goes to its own drum, and it goes through these cycles. And at the end of the day, I'm not naive enough to think, at the end of the day, Bitcoin's only 16, 17 years old. So I'm not naive enough to think that, okay, because it is separate and no business owns it, no government owns it, there's no one that actually owns it. I'm not naive enough to think that it's going to just keep going up. But the facts are, and once again, we can't break this down I won't break this down and go full nerd factor here, but the facts are there's only 21 million Bitcoin in existence, and therefore it is a finite resource. You get people arguing about, well, yeah, but it's not like gold, so it can't be turned into, this is the Peter Schiff argument, it can't be turned into something material. But at the end of the day, the world is are we heading to a more digital world or a more paper world, right? We're heading to a much more digital world. And so the world that I want to be a part of is a world that it has a digital currency that's not directly correlated or connected to any government, any industry, any business in the world. And that's what Bitcoin is, which is a lot different to the proposed digital currency that they're looking to bring in. Or if you look at the yuan in China, I mean, they use it to control their citizens. And why I love Bitcoin is because it's the opposite of that.
So you're not going to give me a bit of a tip? There's not going to be a boom in Bitcoin soon?
There will be a boom in Bitcoin. So as long as they keep printing US dollars.
They're doing a lot of that.
Right. And so when is US dollars going to stop being printed?
Oh, I don't think they'll ever stop it. They're trying to outrun it.
So as long as they don't stop printing US dollars, which I think we can both agree will...
It's easy to print money because it's just ink.
Exactly right. And so therefore, Bitcoin will always go up against the US dollar. Now, it's not going to go up vertically because markets do this. So it is going to have, it's going to have retracements. It's going to go bounce back up. But I wrote about this, and a lot of people, Bitcoiners, know about the 4-year cycle. It's going to drop, but we're moving into a time right now when everyone's fearful. This is the time, in my opinion, to be buying.
What's your take on the future then? What's going to be the future? Printing money, all this going on. What's going to happen to cryptocurrency, digital currency? What's happening?
Well, I think it's going to be very similar to the dot-com boom, where the dot-com boom happened and there was thousands of companies that come out, right? And they were all meant to be the next big thing. But what actually survived? Google, Amazon, a couple of other companies survived. Only 3 or 4 or 5 really big companies survived the dot-com boom. And that's what I think we'll see with crypto as well. We'll see a lot of these, excuse my French, they're called shit coins or altcoins that are out there. There's thousands and thousands of them. A lot of them will, in my opinion, disappear. And there'll be coins that'll stay in existence. Bitcoin is the only one, if people are listening and they're interested in hearing or knowing more about this, in my opinion, Bitcoin is the only one that will thrive. There's going to be other ones that will survive, but in my opinion, there's something about being a trailblazer, and that's why it'll survive.
So the smart thing is have some of this in your portfolio.
You should have at least some of it in there, absolutely. But it's the same way. I say the same with gold and property and everything else. Of course, you should have that. It's about being diverse. But in my opinion, you're absolutely bonkers if you don't have just a little bit of Bitcoin in there.
Funny, just the other day, I had somebody say to me, and of course they said to me, "Oh, you've got Bitcoin." I said, "Yeah." "You've got cryptocurrency." "Yeah." Can you really get the money out? I mean, people think you really can't.
I know.
Cash.
You can't turn it into money.
Who started that?
Oh, look, I just think it's because there's a misunderstanding. Like there's just not enough knowledge on the topic. I think we've got to be realistic. It is only 17 years old, whereas gold's been around for 5,000 years. Cash money's been around for a long, long time as well. So at the end of the day, it is only very, very new. So people, even up till recently, people used to say to me, "Oh, Troy, I can't buy Bitcoin." I said, "Oh, why can't you?" I'm thinking there could be a problem. Maybe they can't connect to their exchange. Maybe they can't, whatever. They said, "Oh, no, I can't afford a whole Bitcoin. It's like, $80,000 or at the time over 100,000. I go, you don't have to buy a whole Bitcoin. You can buy you can buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. And that's another common misconception. But once again, I certainly don't get frustrated when people ask me that because it's a new concept. So I understand.
Yeah, I said to somebody, this, you've got the coin, you've got it in your wallet. You can take it to an exchange. They do the deal for you straight away, and of course they take their commission, and away you go. But it's interesting. People planted the seed that you can't get it out. You can't cash it. I don't know where that all started. I mean, the world's just full of BS.
Well, it's not the first time that there's BS that's been spoken, I guess. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's a brand new concept. So it's understandable that there's going to be people that aren't knowledgeable around the topic.
Troy, tell me, the world's going much more digital. There's no doubt about it. It's going to go down that path. People are asking, will it or will it? No, it will go down that path. There's no doubt about it. So the question is, what does this mean for the average person? The person out there, everybody watching here is the average man on the street. What's going to happen? What's your big picture of where this is all heading?
I think, the big thing here is without a doubt the hottest topic that there is in the world right now is AI, and there's a bit of this air of inevitability about it, and that's literally what it is. We all may know people, we all may be in business with people, or have family members who put their head in the sand about things, right? And just go, well, if I just ignore it, it's going to go away. This isn't one of those things that you can do that. AI is going to be intertwined in our everyday life, and that is something that is unavoidable. There's nothing we can do about that. So in regards to your question, how can we, how's that going to affect the everyday person? Well, the way it's going to affect them is that I recently saw an interview with a CEO of a company who mentioned that in the last 6 to 9 months, AI is now taking jobs, not just from the basic data entry things that they were doing, but these are jobs that previously they had employed, someone with a master's in whatever it is, right? So someone who'd done like 4 or 5 years worth of study. And that's what AI was doing. And they were completing those tasks in days where the humans were taking weeks to months to complete them. So it doesn't matter where you are or what you do, there's going to be something that is going to come for your job, right? And whether you're an Uber driver, the same thing, right? There's going to be autonomous cars going on.
No doubt about it.
So I think the biggest thing that people can do is just not put your head in the sand and be aware of it. How can you adapt to this changing environment?
You have to become more entrepreneurial, maybe.
That's a big thing, right? Now, some people aren't built to be entrepreneurial, and that's okay.
You are right. I used to think everybody is built for entrepreneurialism. Because I always was, but I've quickly found out,
No, it's not the case, and that's okay.
And that's right. But you need to either get your life involved with others that are very good at being entrepreneurial, work with them. We all have strengths. I get some people that are very good entrepreneurial, but they have great weaknesses in all different areas and whatever. I mean, talking about all that change in AI, and I've mentioned this before and I want to mention it again, is that when I was young, I remember when machines come along and computers come along, everybody thought it was the end of the world. This is the end, where jobs are gone. But what happened? We reinvented ourselves. We adapted, and I think we will. But I think with this one, we've got to really be on top of it, because I think you do have to be entrepreneurial. You've got to have that ability to think a little bit more, team up with people that have a strength and you have a strength, and then work together as a team and build opportunity together, because things have changed. Things aren't quite the same they used to be anymore. Okay?
It's the first time ever that the technology coming in is 1,000 times more smarter than us.
Oh, it is. It's a,
Right?
it's a strong one, this one.
So this is going to be the greatest change until the next greatest change. I'm sure there's going to be another one that'll come, right?
Yeah.
But without a doubt, the people who keep their head above water are the people who don't put their head in the sand. So I think you mentioned something really clever there before, Greg, which is align yourself with people. Now, you may not be entrepreneurial, but align yourself.
Absolutely.
Just having everyone can speak. You may not be entrepreneurial, but you can talk, right? So you can have communication and you can align yourself with people that are on the cutting edge and maybe looking at those things. And there's always going to be opportunities in that space to be an employee, not be the head entrepreneur, be an employee for that.
But remember, AI is only as good as the questions you ask it.
At this stage, that is correct. But that's the thing. The crazy thing about AI is there's no ceiling, which is exciting, but also very daunting because no one actually knows where it's going to go.
Yeah, but it doesn't have a heart.
It doesn't. There's always going to be that human connection thing.
It doesn't have emotion.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really doesn't know if a woman's good looking or a man's good looking. It doesn't know. It really doesn't know. And of course, I've already said, logic opens the mind, but emotion opens the checkbook in a deal. And of course, it doesn't have emotion. It really doesn't. It fakes it.
It does.
But it doesn't have emotion.
True.
And that's why we can't be replaced.
We can't. We can't. And
it'll try to replace us, but it won't win.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is that even as complex as AI can get, a human is so incredibly complex, right? DNA and all that kind of thing. So we struggle to think, can it ever be an actual replica of us? And
no, it can't. I'm just going to say it can't. It's impossible because the emotions of people.
With me, I always say never say never. I think that I get what you're saying, but I think there's going to be a level that it could potentially get to. But who knows? Maybe not. I've been wrong once or twice before, but I said I was wrong, so I was right anyway. So,
Well, I remember down through the years when people said, "Oh no, it's all over. This is not going to work." I remember my father coming home and said machines have arrived into his industry, which he was a tailor, and it was like everybody was worried. But you know what? Everybody reinvented themselves.
Yeah. So it's about reinventing. It's about adapting. So if there's a message that anyone can get out of this, I would say, don't put your head in the sand. Adapt and just align yourself.
I think it's exciting because I think it's great that people have to think. People have to think, what should I do? What do I have to do? So many people don't think about tomorrow. They don't think about their job. They don't think about this opportunity. They just don't think. Well, listen, everybody, think.
You have no choice now.
You must think.
Yeah, you're going to be left behind.
You have to think and have an opinion and have a reason and whatever. You can't just walk around and be Mr. Nobody. Everybody has to, pull themselves together and start to think opportunities because we all have gold nuggets inside of us. But sometimes we don't bring them out because we don't want to or we don't think about it.
Well, I'd like to think the people who are watching this video are people who want to, they may be at the beginning of their journey, but they want to produce that gold nugget, right? And so I think one of the other big things is there's going to be a wedge that's going to be driven into the middle class. I think we both are wise enough and know enough that the middle class is going to be a thing of the past, in my opinion, in decades to come. You're either going to be on the rich side or you're going to be in the poor side.
Like, you want the best to come out, you got to do something that's different. In other words, do something that's uncomfortable.
Definitely.
If you want the best, find uncomfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you want the same, just be the same.
Yeah, never seek comfort.
And everybody seek something uncomfortable and every ask tough questions and whatever and learn. We've run around for the last 10, 20 years, putting everybody in cotton wool. You got the children at school, they're all in cotton wool.
Yeah, I know.
Don't dare say anything, don't rebuttal anybody. And you have a competition, everybody gets the medal. There's no winner because we can't have a winner. Don't keep score.
Yeah, let's not do that.
It's well gone crazy. Of course we keep score. And there are winners and there are losers because you know what? You learn from, a bit like playing golf. I like to play golf because I say to myself, I missed that putt. I'm glad I missed it because I can learn. You don't learn from making the putt. You learn from missing the putt.
Absolutely. Learn way more from the mistake.
You learn.
Absolutely.
But you've got to tell yourself, I'm going to learn from why I didn't make that putt. Why did I made 5, when I'm practicing, I'll hit 5 putts and they all go in the hole. And then I hit the sixth one. I missed it. I said, that's good. Forget about the ones I got in. Let's concentrate. What about the one what's the hardship about this one I miss? Because that's the one that hurts. And we forget about, and we make it sound too easy when we're kicking goals. So
Absolutely.
got to be uncomfortable scenarios.
Absolutely. It all comes down to mindset, right? We always talk about this, but everything goes back to the mindset and how strong mentally you are, because you're going to get setbacks, and that's just how it is. But this world that we're moving into is going to be full of a lot of setbacks. If you put your head in the sand, you're just not, it's not going to end well for you. So just be aware, I think, is the number one thing. Be aware. So, yeah.
There we go, Troy. Well, terrific talking to you. It was wonderful. We're going to do this a lot more.
Yes.
And come up with great subjects. Also have a few guests come along, and we'll talk with them as well.
Going to have some human guests and some non-human guests as well.
Wow,
yeah,
really?
So it's going to be exciting. So stick around for that.
What does the non-human guest looks like?
Well, they don't really look like anything. But we talked about AI, and we're going to kind of interact and have a bit of fun with that stuff. So it'll be
true.
good.
Okay, until next time. Thanks, mate.
Thank you very much.